night. I didn't know that she's on LOA. So I called again today, and then I realized that she's on LOA. So then they said to call Evelyn, but Evelyn has no information about my case. Who's covering her?
So what is it you're asking?
I sent the email yesterday. I included you in it. Nobody
Yeah, I don't know
responded
why
to.
you keep sending these emails. Monique spoke to you. I spoke to you. You called Jackie. Jackie spoke to you. What is it you're asking?
For a date. I'm just asking when I'm gonna get a date, and nobody can
You're
answer
gonna
that.
get a date. Didn't Monique tell you she's gonna respond to you once they have a date, Tony? You keep calling. We had this conversation before.
Every month. So I don't have the right. I could just stay out here without a job and just chill out here.
Tony, that's your
Huh?
business. Go to the labor board, file a board charge. What the hell you're calling every minute for
Oh,
what? We don't have a
every minute
date.
is not every minute. It's once a month.
When
Once
we
a
get a
month.
date, we will contact you. You keep calling.
So
What
I
what
don't
do you
have the
think
right
is
to
gonna
call my
happen?
who's supposed to be representing me.
So
You telling me I
what do
don't
you
have to,
want to
and then you get
happen?
it. Why
Let
you
me let me
cursing
ask
at
you
me
this.
and
What is
why
it you
you getting
want to
like this?
happen?
I need to
What
get
is
a
it you
date.
want to happen?
I want to get my job back. I want to get a date. That's what I want.
So you're gonna have to fucking wait like everybody
Yo,
else. You
don't
keep
curse at me
calling.
because I'm not cursing at you.
No,
I'm not
I'm
cursing at
cursing at
you.
you because you're annoying me now.
Oh, I'm annoying
Go
you.
to the labor.
Oh,
Go
well,
to the
because
labor
I'm asking
board.
you to do your job.
Go.
I'm annoying you
You
because I'm
asking
asking
me
you to
to
do
do
your
my
job.
job?
I'm
Tony,
asking you to
go
do
to the
your
labor
job.
board.
You work for me, right? I
File
pay
board
dues.
charges. What happened?
I work. I pay union dues. You work for me, so it's okay
Tony,
for you to curse at me. No problem. Thank you, Mike, very much.
Tony,
Thank
you
you.
do not stop harassing people. Wait, you're
I'm
gonna get a
harassing.
date. The
Oh
legal
no, now I'm
department already
harassing.
told you.
Oh,
You
okay,
went
but
to
you
the
can say
labor
fuck
board.
you and
Go
say
to the
whatever the
labor
fuck
board
you
and
want to
file
me.
board
No
charges.
problem. No problem.
Go to the labor board and file board charges. Do that.
Okay. Okay.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So yeah, you already know what it is. Ain't nothing new under the sun. So yeah, right now, I just want to actually take the time and opportunity to check in with everyone out there that's been keeping up with the whole 1199 SCIU, as well as the NYU, Langone, David and Goliath, aka Welcome to Tether House American Horror Story, right? So that being said, I briefly touched on this in a previous video about revolution and it only taking 3% of the population to become active for a strong and successful revolution to actually come about. And to a lot of people that may seem like it's hard or a lot to do, but it's really not, because when you start actually dealing with the ones and the zeros and breaking it down to the sum of its parts, you got to figure it like this. For every 100 people, if 3 people take accountability to the things that are going on in their reality and hit it head on and make sure that they have the proper receipts in order to do so, that's 3%. So 3 out of every 100. So with that in mind, you say to yourself, so how many people in your department? How many people are in your institution? How many people are in 1199 SEIU? 450,000? So imagine if 3% of the 450,000 stood strong and started handling the business that we all know 1199 SEIU refuses to do for its members. So what I want to show you is what it actually looks like when that happens. And remember, we live in a one-party state, which means you have the right to record anything that you are a part of without having to notify anyone except for one party, which is you. And you use those as receipts to prove, to show and prove beyond reasonable doubt what's actually happening to you in your reality. Because believe me when I tell you, when you go through this process, there are going to be a lot of hurdles to jump and a lot of things to dodge and go in between, above, under, and through. Because when you've been as deep into this as I have, as well as my partner Kev, you're going to start to see that there's a lot of connections and a lot of different institutions and people from with those institutions overlap and overline, and this one's scratching that back and this one's robbing Peter to pay Paul. All the time, you are the one that's being played. And until people stand their ground, stand up and start speaking their truth, this will never change. But what this has taught me, just from the sheer response of everyone out there liking the videos, sharing the videos, reaching out, and actually anonymously, and some of them already in line willing to tell their stories. Just waiting for the interview process so we can get it on the road. But my point is this. When you think you're the only one out there, tired of what's going on, wondering what's happening to your union dues, and then on top of that, on the back end, the tax dollars that you pay that they get a piece of because they're a nonprofit, so they get federal funding. So they're hitting you on the front end with your union dues coming straight out of your check. And have you ever wondered, out of the 450,000 union members, how many of them in all the states are actually paying their union dues? And because they're a nonprofit, you have the right to know. So maybe you should call your local representative and ask them and tell them you want it in writing. And make sure to record that phone call. So if at any point you need to prove what was really said, ain't nothing else to it but to press play. But I'm actually going to just run a few clips and just let you know that I'm not the only one out here saying what I'm saying. You sitting there looking at your phone on the train or on your couch watching TV after a long ass day of getting ran through at the institution and $11.99 not doing your job. The thoughts that go on in your mind, and when you sit and talk to your neighbor at work and the things y'all complain about, you're not the only ones complaining about it. We all are. The only thing is that until all of us start to actively and collectively start working together to put all the pieces together and tell this story to the world, it's never going to change. And I've already shown you with actual receipts, whether it's news articles or actual documents like 990 forms, which is tax returns, what's going on. And I'm going to be honest with you right now, the rabbit hole is getting really deep. So we're actually connecting dots. We're seeing which tax ID or EIN numbers belong to what other nonprofits and what matching numbers of monies are being transferred between all these groups and where they all end up, and which umbrella company is owned by who and who they're connected to, and what entities they support and who supports them. Basically, what I'm saying is we are following the paper trail. And it's funny because when you start really going by the line by line items, you start to see that a lot of employees at $11.99 are not listed as actual employees. Some of them are contractors, but they're working under tax ID numbers as drivers. You know, we're living in that day and age where Mr. Tom Homan, I highly suggest you look into what's going on at 1199 SEIU from a Department of Homeland Security perspective, saying this is a concerned United States of American tax-paying citizen and former 1199 SEIU delegate. But you can start with the contractors that are working under EIN numbers. And that being said, I want to give you a few clips of what your peers are out there also saying. And just give us a little bit of time, because we're definitely going to come back. And unlike that article or blog that was circulated during the election, that was all conjecture, where a whole bunch of people from the member slate ticket all had anonymous statements about stolen monies, which the one thing I never understood that no one asks, if the money was in fact stolen, right? Well, we know in any institution, there's checks and balances, which means everyone from the top position, the president, on down the line to secretary treasurer, somebody had to sign off to get those funds released, which means each and every one of those people and individuals were also complicit in the alleged theft. But I know what I can show you to be fact. The individual that they brought in to get the new administration up to speed, Mr. Dennis Rivera, as I've shown you before, has a history of committing fraud and hiding funds within shell companies, documented, as well as his documented attachments to executives from other institutions that fall under the League of Hospitals. Bishkoff, maybe? But hey. But yeah, anyways, we're going to run these clips, and y'all have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there. Remember, realize, Transparency forces accountability. Y'all keep your eyes to the stars. Keep that head on a swivel, because it's a dirty, dirty, dangerous game. We are in the den of diabolical demons, aka the Viper's Pit. If you want to see change, you have to be the change that you want to see. And if I cannot stress anything more than what I'm about to say, is when it comes to this shit right here, they're elected officials. They're nonprofit organizations that are also funded not just off your union dues, but your tax dollars. So you have every right, as them being public entities, to those records. You have every right to question them. When you're not getting service, you contact the Department of Labor and you file a formal complaint. If you're dealing with stuff at your institution like I was at NYU, you contact the EEOC. You just make sure you have your receipts. Because trust me, they're going to try to play the games. But as long as you have your receipts and you know that what you're doing is standing on is right and just, it'll work itself out in the end. Believe that. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here, man. Y'all be safe. Don't forget, it's that 3%. At this point, it is what it is. You either want it or you don't. But I know I'm not the only one out here trying to bring pain. And the more of us that step out the shadows, the real it's going to get for them. Because now they get this wake-up call that, oh, it wasn't just the wild, crazy nigga that was making up shit. All in the back of his mind, right? Yeah, see, you never realize when there's already a network in place to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. All you have to do is ask the universe. And if you're truly ready, it'll find its way to you. Y'all be safe out there, because it's a dirty-ass, dangerous game. And when you start following the paper trail, the truth reveals itself. So I had to be very, very transparent with my life over the last 6 years. And everyone else that was pulling strings in the background, we're going to force transparency and accountability out of you. All with receipts. No conjecture. And no anonymous tips that, well, we don't have anything to prove it, but we heard. Who'd you hear it from? Them. Because they had said. Those days are over.
Responding to a comment from Janissa Diaz, who says, yes, I definitely love to hear your union story. I've been following you for some time now, and I had no idea that you were a union delegate. Yes, I was a union delegate. This was in response to a video that I made saying that, one of my followers said, I love your content, but I don't think you should speak on things you don't know. You know nothing about how unions work. And I said, well, people that have been following me know why I feel how I feel about unions, and my union story about how I caught $11.99, the union for the healthcare professionals, because it wasn't just nurses, for the state of Connecticut, how corrupt they were. And I infiltrated the system, became a delegate, and I turned shit up. So I don't mind if I do tell you, and buckle your seatbelt because it gets juicy. So back in 2019, I was working for a head nurse, state psychiatric hospital for my state. Now I had transferred there from corrections. I had spent many years in corrections, and that's where I got butt broke. That's where I learned. That's where I got a PhD in surviving toxic state workers. So coming in there, yeah, I was nice, I was cute, I was pretty, I was, the youngest head nurse in the building, doing my thing. I was a good nurse, but they didn't know that I was unfuckwittable if you tried to mess with me, because I knew the game. One thing about state or government jobs, no policy, and do your damn job, and you're unfuckwittable. So this is what happened. But long story short, short story long. Long after I got there, I came in, listen, I'm going to be a good nurse and an advocate no matter where I go. So I came in. This place had the same people working there for 20 plus years, the same delegates, the same everything. It was all corrupt. They had two main nurses that was running the joint, stealing millions of dollars because they did their own payroll. It was a bunch of shit. The administrator was sleeping with the staff, sleeping with all the black dudes. She was fucking terrible. They were treacherous. And my thing is, be corrupt. Be corrupt all you want. But when you start harassing the staff and you're corrupt, now I got a problem. So they slowly started fucking with me. because they didn't like me. Like, long story short, they slowly started fucking with me. So I would see a lot of things that they were doing, and people were like, yeah, but they had one mental health worker and one doctor who were the union delegates, and they like ran shit up in there, right? And then the top nurse, who actually was a supervisor, was the damn delegate for the nurses. So you could only have one on each shift. I was on day shift, right? Long story short, her stinking ass ended up getting promoted to be the director of nursing. So I said, well, now this is my chance. They didn't even see it coming. They were so sneaky. I knew they would try to block me from being a delegate. I said, I need to see what's really going on the inside. And to get on the inside, I got to infiltrate the system, and I need to become a union delegate. But I knew that they would rig the election. They wouldn't run it properly, or they would rally against me before the election, and that they would try to get me to lose. One thing they couldn't stop was that I was very vocal. And the nurses, my coworkers, respected me, right? We had mutual respect for each other, so that was unfuckwittable. So I looked and I saw when that mental health worker was not on the schedule, the one who was like the main top delegate running shit. And that's when I called up the union organizer. I'm a nurse here at Bridgeport. I want to be a delegate, blah, blah, blah. He didn't give two shits. He's like, okay, do it. This is how you got to do. You got to run an election. I went around, ran an election, and these were the results. Hi, Takara. Yes, you won your election. There were 8 yes votes and 3 no. Haters. I have entered the results in our database. Congratulations. The deal was done. So now once they found out I was a delegate, the whole place shook up. Once that mental health worker and they told management, oh my God, she ran an election behind our backs. Oh my God, they were like, she's in. You know, she didn't forge these people actually signed yes for her. She is in. She ran a fair election. She had a witness. It's done. My first order of business, see, they didn't know the games that I knew from being in DOC. They didn't know that I knew about a voter no confidence. My first order of business, I wrote up a voter no confidence, and I said, I'm getting this fucking administrator out, and I'm getting the director of nursing out, the one that I got promoted. I wanted her ass gone. So behind all the other delegates' backs in there, because they were all working with management. They were literally working with management. Behind the delegates' backs, I went and I got all these people to sign this voter no confidence. Yes, because I said, listen, Alicia gotta go. She ain't about shit. This is crazy what we're going through in here. We had a really bad patient. People were losing their jobs. There was a lot going on besides just toxicity. So I said, she gotta go. They didn't handle COVID properly, whatever. So I got everybody to sign this. I sent it to the union guy. Now, me and the union organizer, we working together. I'm like, she gotta go. Oh my God, it blew up. The mental health worker went behind my fucking back and got with the doctor, and they put a voter no confidence on the union organizer. Oh my God. So they were going to people. They got a copy of the voter no confidence, right? And one of the mental health workers, when I was asking her to sign it, she fucking made a copy of it. I knew what she was going to do with it. And I said, whatever. They got a copy of the voter no confidence and gave it to, these are people fighting against their own interests, and they gave it to management. One of the managers was a newly appointed manager. He was a guy. He had a bad reputation anyway, but whatever. Me and him were cool before that. We had worked together years prior, whatever. He changed up. He was going to the staff and asking them, did they sign this voter no confidence? Why is their name on here? Intimidating people. So I started getting all these emails for people saying, I want to, take my name off it. I don't support it. They were sending it to me in writing. Little did I know the union organizer was playing both sides, because he was working with them and he was working with whatever. He was fucking sneaky too. So that's intimidation, coercion, right? So now it's time for us to have our big delegate meeting. We go in, we have the delegate meeting, our labor management meeting. It's with management and the delegates. This fool says in the meeting, we got to talk about this voter no confidence that's going around. The staff doesn't want it. I went to everyone personally and asked them what, right then and there, you broke that's interfering with union business. As management, you cannot do that. And I knew that. And I'm like, oh no, it was recorded, because we were recording the minutes. Once we got off that meeting, I said, nah, we're filing the NLRB complaint, National Labor Relations Board complaint. This man is intimidating, union busting. This can't happen. This was a copy of the complaint. As you can see, the complaint, manager is intimidating, coercing, and interrogating bargaining unit members engaged in protected, concerted activity. I was not playing. And once that came down the pipe, he started fucking with me. But the thing with him, he wasn't a better nurse than me. And he didn't know policy. Yeah, you may be manager, but we know how that worked in there. You know what I mean? It didn't have anything to do with smarts. He would try to fuck with me. I would pull up a restraint policy. Nope. I follow policy. He would, oh my God, they could not fuck with me. And that was the thing. They were mad and they couldn't fuck with me. Long story short, the union, we ended up trying to have like several tactics to get these managers out. Found out that the union was behind our backs, tipping them off with everything that we were doing, had their personal cell phone numbers. It was absolutely disgusting. Long story short, the top doctor that was a union delegate that was running shit, he was like running everything. I mean, this doctor owned all these properties. Everybody was renting properties from him. There was so much fraternizing going on. Everybody was afraid of him except for me. I got it to where we all signed to get him removed as a delegate. I said, we got to remove this motherfucker's power. So I got that signed so we could all get him removed as a delegate. Everybody signed it. The union was like, Doc, you're out. I was smiling from ear to ear. He was out as a delegate and he had to send us a letter of apology. He had to type it up and send us a letter of apology. And he ended up doing that. But long story short, I shook the place up in there and I saw what they were really about. And from then, I never trusted the unions. I ended up negotiating a deal to get an early transfer out of there. They didn't want to fuck with me, so they gave me an early transfer out of there. But we did a lot of good work. Like, we got rid of the patient that was harassing everybody, got her transferred out. What's crazy is when I ended up transferring out, I transferred right where the fucking patient was at. So I ended up going to Connecticut Valley Hospital. And there was a lot that was going on in that agency, but I really saw that 1199 didn't have our best interests at heart. I gathered everybody up, had everybody stop paying dues. I shook that place up because I knew what it would take to get shit going. But that's my union story. And you want to know what's crazy? The commissioner over there at Demas, there was a lot of racism going on. We had monthly meetings with her begging for her help. She never did anything. And guess where she ended up? With a job handling racism in Biden's cabinet.
Someone would reach out to me in 24 to 48 hours. And I never heard anything. And then when I emailed back, 2 separate times I didn't hear anything. But my EEOC investigator was asking, what's the status of my case?
So, to my understanding, you had a termination grievance that was held.
Correct.
The termination grievance was denied. I believe they took it to the chapter here in appeals. It was also denied, and I think the status of the case right now is waiting for division here in appeals to hear the case.
But
is my understanding.
The individuals that denied my case, they didn't even look at the evidence that we gave them. And I know they didn't because we gave it to them on links. And the way I set it up is that every time someone watches it, I'm notified. They never even look at the evidence. So how could they make a determination about my case without even reviewing the evidence? And then I find it odd that one of them that makes a decision after Evelyn comes back from vacation is now a organizer all of a sudden. None of this is making sense. And I've been trying to fight this case now. I've been going back and forth with this for 3 years now, and not once has any organizer or anybody, even when I met with Stacey Gray, has anyone done anything to assist me. I've had to do everything on my own. And my EEOC case is now in conciliation, which means I've proven my case, which means that 1199 has refused to represent me as a union-paying member. And nobody's telling me anything. Nobody's giving me any answers. And nobody's doing their job. But everyone's acting like I'm the problem.
So here's what I could say to you. You had a grievance. I believe you had a delegate of your choice. You went to the employer. The employer denied your grievance. It went to the committee, the chapter committee. The chapter committee denied. And the next step now is to go to division. The division.
But I'm still trying to.
But sir,
The
you're not giving me an answer on why your committee denied my hearing without even looking at the evidence, sir.
So when was your case? I will not preview to your case. I don't know anything about your case. You reached out. I'm following up with you. The process, the next step in this process is that it will now go to the division hearing and appeals.
But I understand that, but what I'm trying to understand is I came down there 2 months ago, and I was told within 24 to 48 hours I would hear back. Hold on one moment, sir. I came down there 2 months ago, but I was told I would hear something in 24 to 48 hours. I know that you spoke to my delegate after that saying you would call us the next day. And never anything. And I not only emailed you, I also emailed who was the organizer at the time, Evelyn, and I think it was Jasmine as well. But nobody's reached out and said anything. And these are the things that I'm talking about when I say 1199 doesn't do their job, and then you leave the members out there alone to do your job for them.
I am telling you, the next step is your grievance your grievance will now go to the division hearing appeals. The hearing appeals, I will check in with our legal team to find out when is it scheduled for. I know that there was a backlog. I will find out to get.
But how can I trust in that process if in the last process?
So let me say this to you. It's up to you whether you trust it or not. I'm following up with you to let you know what.
But I'm explaining to you, sir, that your staff did not even look at the evidence. Hold on, Mr. Ashby.
All right, so.
You do understand.
I'm not going to sit and relitigate something that I have no knowledge about. I am saying.
But I'm telling you this, and you act like you don't care, and you're talking over me like everyone else does. You all simply don't care, and that's the problem, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you, sir.
But if you're saying I'm like everyone else, then it tells me that this is an ongoing issue. This is my first time speaking to you, and I'm trying to explain to you.
Because I came down there 2 months ago, you've refused to answer any email. You can see the email chain that I've been keeping in correspondence. This is the first time that you've even thought about responding to me. So no, you are acting like everyone else. And to sit here and actually play with my mind, if they have the audacity to think I'm stupid. Are you crazy?
You have a good day, sir.
You know what? I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to have a very, very good day. I'm going to have a very good day, and you're going to have one real soon, okay?